gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, the kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.
All right, welcome back to the Off the Mountain podcast. This is our Christmas episode, and I'm excited because we have some special guests today. The OG is here, myself, Vince Sierra. We have Nicole. She is new to our team, but she is faithful. And then we have Genaro Hernandez, who is our youth pastor at the VBF main campus church. I said that was a lot of words.
That was.
He's our youth pastor at the church. An amazing guy, super thoughtful. I love him to death. But another super thoughtful guy that we have back by popular demand, not that Pastor Ron wasn't feeling good, just popular demand brought you back.
That's right.
We have John Ranger back
So
in the
glad
house.
to be back. Yeah.
Dude, you did such a good job on the last podcast episode. It was really, really good.
Thanks, man.
It was fun having you here.
It was glad, yeah.
So I feel like we're going to party today. It's a Christmas episode.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun.
We are
Festive.
all in. Are you guys ready for Christmas?
I just finished Christmas shopping a couple days ago, so I am officially ready.
Yeah, I just ordered the last Amazon printable gift cards and we're set. It's all wrapped under the tree.
Smart.
Printable
yeah.
gift cards.
Oh, yeah, you can just print it from your home computer.
Oh, okay.
I
was
feel
like
they're a
thinking
little more
3D
reliable.
printer.
No. I mean, that would
like,
be
what is
cool.
this?
No,
What is this magic?
it's the normal printer.
That's funny.
Yeah, John, are you ready?
So ready.
You're
I mean,
not ready.
I'm not ready. Amber's ready.
Amber's ready.
Yeah. She took care of everything like 3 months ago.
Are you guys, I know, like I get
done.
all the main gifts, like Hannah and I handle most of our main gifts, my wife, and then it's like comes the stockings. Like, are you guys last minute stocking stuffers?
Yes, only because, but on purpose, because I feel like they're just on the living room. It's so easy to take a peek.
Okay, but are your stockings like essentials, like toothpaste, toothbrush? Like, what do you guys put in your kids' stockings?
It
Yes.
changes, I think, from time to time. Whatever the popular deals are.
You're a deal shopper.
If it's
Yeah,
toothpaste and
100%.
toothbrushes, that's fine.
Yeah, that's good, Nicole. I do add, we do a lot of stuff that like refillable for the bathroom.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
you know, hey, you need a new toothbrush, you need toothpaste, my kids go through like my kids use an enormous amount of shower gel. I don't even know, like, they don't, you only need one squirt, but for whatever reason, they just take the bottle and like shower with the bottle. So it's like all those refillables and like Santa brings it.
Well, I don't feel like
Yeah.
the stocking budget even like gets counted towards the Christmas budget because I feel like that just gets counted towards the household budget because they're set with toothpaste for the next 6
You're
months.
like putting toilet
Yeah,
paper in
that's
their
smart.
stockings.
Absolutely. I'm like underwear, all that stuff that they're like, I'm not going to wrap that stuff up, but they need it. At this point, all the month of November and December, whatever you need, it's going in your stocking.
Yeah.
You know?
I love it. Yeah, I remember, obviously, when I was a kid, my parents would fill my stocking with candy. And we try to put a good amount of like candy in there that we normally
yeah.
wouldn't buy, because there's
Yes,
like the
the fun
candy that
stuff.
you'll never buy from them. The gas station candy, like right at checkout that your kids are like throwing a fit over that you didn't buy them,
Yep.
And so you throw that in the stocking. But yeah, how about this? What are some of your favorite gifts that you've received for Christmas as an adult or as a child?
Oh, man. I think one of my favorite gifts, and I'm not just saying this because she's my wife, but I got a full-on Traeger.
Ooh.
And it was like the best thing ever. And I think it was just her telling me she wants me to cook more.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say, can you explain
Smart
to the audience
Yeah.
what a Traeger is? Because some people don't know what that is.
It's a grill, and you
It's
can't
a grill,
burn
it's
it.
a smoker.
You
it's-
can't burn
it's all of
anything
the
really.
above.
It's like rough to burn. So it's just
Yeah.
I left, but you can mess up a Traeger because I remember one day I put like a tri-tip on the Traeger and I was like, I know I have like 4.5 hours before I come back, if you like slow smoke it. And we ended up being gone for like 7 hours.
Oh, gosh.
And I came back and the tri-tip was just tiny.
yeah, that's crazy.
It just said like dehydrated it to the max.
Yeah, but I think it was my favorite gift because I love hosting, and so it just gave us another like, hey, Sunday after church or a random birthday, come, I'll grill a bunch of stuff, let's hang out. And so I think that's why it's my favorite gift too. My favorite dad gift too.
What do you got, Nicole?
You know, when I was little, I got an American Girl doll. Do you guys have your girls into that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. That was my alt Felicity. And I just remember, because I thought, there's no way.
You
Those
wait,
dolls are
buddy.
expensive.
Really?
Very expensive.
Oh, just wait. Your girls. Okay, so the Grove has
Really?
like this American Girl doll store. And I can go in there and like my inner child is like, so, I mean, of course, I've got the 2 little boys who are like, can we please leave the
Mom.
store? But yeah, like I just remember being so excited about that gift and just, like I think something when you don't expect it and then you open it, you're just like,
Yeah.
wow.
I remember one Christmas that unexpected, I opened up a Nintendo NES and I just thought like my world is changing. And then
best
my
day ever.
next present was a Sega.
No.
Dude,
No.
it was. Like that was like
In the same.
Wow.
and yeah,
man.
and I was just like, this can't be real. This is like, and so obviously as you do as a kid, you just my thumbs just never were the same after that.
Yeah.
It was like nonstop. And it's different because video games are different now. I feel like video games, like, they never end. It's like, with like an old Sega or an NES game, like you beat it and it's over and then you move on.
Right.
Like games today, they just play forever. It's
Forever.
like they never
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
It's crazy. How
Yeah.
about you, John?
I need to have honestly, like I've gotten great gifts over the years, but the most memorable gift, it just always sticks out in my mind is, so one year, you remember the video game Earthworm Jim?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually
You
do.
do?
Yeah.
You
Didn't
do?
he like?
I'm in
Didn't
it.
he like use his like head as a whip or something?
Yeah.
okay.
He was an interesting, quirky kind of dude.
Nicole's like, I have
Right.
no
I have no
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
And then they made I think they even made like a cartoon out of him and some comic books. Anyways, I was obsessed with Earthworm Jim. And so I don't even know if this exists anymore, but my mom got me like the whole set of the Earthworm Jim toys, right?
Oh man.
For Christmas one year. And I thought it was the best thing in the world. And my mom also got my dad a brand new camcorder. For those of you who don't know what a camcorder is, it's what you do on your phone now.
Was it like the one with the little tape, or was it the
Little
massive-
tape, yes.
Oh, okay.
No, it was
Okay.
like the new, it was like,
the upgraded version? Because you used to
Exactly.
put like a VCR tape.
Yeah,
in that
straight up
mug. Yeah,
VHS in it,
VHS. Yeah.
and no, it was the little tape guy. But later that night, after they went to bed, I like did a whole like movie with my Earthworm Jim toys on that camcorder. And I don't even know if that thing still exists, but
That's
it
crazy.
always sticks in my mind.
Does the movie exist somewhere?
I don't know.
Oh, dude. To watch that would be so fun. That's what I want for Christmas.
Yeah,
from
to
you.
watch my Earthworm Jim
To
movie.
watch your, yeah.
Okay.
Part of me wishes that when I was a kid, YouTube existed, because I would have had so much like YouTube like
Material.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, to the max, like 80s, 90s kids, like
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
material.
Oh, yeah.
It just is unending. Although I think I would have been in jail.
Yes.
So it would have been evidence used against me later on in life. So maybe I'm thankful that it doesn't exist. Okay, this wouldn't be a Christmas episode. And Nicole, I have to give you a shout out. Guys, if you don't follow Nicole on Instagram, like a great follow. You have to follow her. She can give you your handle. I don't actually know your handle.
It's just in Dickey.
Okay, perfect. Or I just looked up Nicole Dickey. I think
Yeah,
you ended up
yeah.
in my feed because somebody else shared it, and then I found that's how I started following you this week. But you've been sharing some incredible things about your perspective on the Christmas story, about Jesus, and I love it. So if you guys, for some more of that, go to Nicole's Instagram. But it wouldn't be a Christmas episode without sharing the Christmas story a little bit. So I want to start off today and just talk about just what are your guys' favorite, or just maybe not favorite's the word, inspiring takeaways from the Christmas story.
I think I said it when we did the video with Pastor Josh on, what does Jesus mean to you? And my response had changed after we were explaining the Christmas story to our daughter. It was the first time. It was like, if you try to explain something to like a little you have to get like super into detail. But in doing so, I was like, man, talk about true hope in an unexpected place. Like in this barn, like giving birth is already insane.
Yeah.
But doing it in a place where it's, there's no air conditioning, it's not insulated well. Like it's just insane. But that our Messiah showed up there. And it just gives me hope. And it's just kind of changed my perspective. Like hope comes anywhere, literally anywhere. even those unexpected places where you're going, oh yeah, God can work here, but in this area of my life, that has been for sure something that I've been chewing on now for the past, month, is just in every area of my life being intentional on seeing and really believing that God's hand is over that area of my life, the unexpected places. So
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about, obviously, Mary. I think it's the woman perspective, but like, I don't know. I think sometimes we just paint Mary as this like quiet, passive woman. And then you read Mary's song, and I don't know if you've actually like read that thing, but it's intense. I mean, she's talking about overthrowing kingdoms, and she's talking about raising up the poor. And this woman is like, she's a revolutionary in a way with how she's going. And I look at that and I think, but then I look at all the whole song is like, actually, when you look at it's quoting Hannah, it's quoting the Old Testament. Like she has scripture buried in that whole thing. And it gives me a new perspective because multiple times in the scriptures it says she pondered all these things. She treasured them in her heart. I think it's like 3 times it references that. And it's given me this whole perspective of like, how much do I ponder? Like really hold on to the word of God. Because this woman, it wasn't like her life got easier after this moment. Her life got hard after this moment. And obviously ended even the hardest when she's like at the cross. And I kind of thought, my mom always used to tell me when I was little, she said, Nikki, don't doubt in the dark what God has shown you in the light. And that has always stuck with me. And I think about that through Mary. Like these were the light moments when the angel was there, when things were being prophesied over her son, and she treasured them so that when the dark moments came, she pulled out those stories. She remembered the God stories. And I'm just kind of sitting there going, I want to treasure the word of God more in my heart. And I want to treasure all the God stories. And then when the dark moments come, I want to pull those to be the first things I pull from instead of, thinking of the chaos in that moment. So those are things that God's just really teaching me, again, through the Christmas story.
Yeah. What's crazy about what you said? I love that you talked about Mary. I was thinking more about Elizabeth and Zachariah. Josh kind of shared from the pulpit. But even when Mary goes and visits Elizabeth and tells her, part of me thinks just human nature, if Elizabeth thought like, man, I thought that was supposed to be me. Like we don't know all these human emotions behind the scenes and what the writers are writing or not writing, So there's a little bit of, extra added there in my thought process. But as far as like, John the Baptist even being part of the story, and it says that, he leaps with joy inside of almost letting Elizabeth know like, hey, this is legit. Like this is what she says it is, and I love that. And I started even thinking about John the Baptist. One of the scriptures we talk about a lot is when Jesus asked Peter, who do you say that I am? And they mention right off the bat, some say John the Baptist. And that's always interesting to me because as Josh talked about yesterday, John the Baptist would have been the perfect candidate to come out of, that bloodline. He could have been. Right. And for John the Baptist to take a step back and say like, no, like he is the savior of the world. Like he is he is the Christ. I think just putting all that together in the perspective of the Christmas story means a lot because it meant that Zachariah and Elizabeth had to support and submit and be part of that story and say like, it's not about us, it's about him. And so I pulled that out. And again, go back to Nicole and listen to Nicole because Nicole had this whole thought about the census.
Oh yeah.
And I won't blow it. You guys have to go, follow her to hear this about the census. It is so good. John.
Man, no.
Sorry.
I'm honestly just really enjoying everything you guys are saying. I'm like, dang, dude, that's a lot of, you guys have a lot of perspective on that story, and I think that's, yeah, man, you guys have given me a lot to chew on. Seriously, like I don't know. I've never looked at the perspective that you guys have, like when I'm reading the story, and I think it's because of the fact that my whole life it's been like that's what I've been raised up in, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is just like being as honest as possible, but for me, it's like obviously Jesus is the savior of the world. Right? There's no lightness to that, but because every year I've been like, okay, Chris, it's September. Let's start planning for Christmas.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I've grown up in the church world.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe in my own way, I've kind of like put that story to the side, you know, and I don't know. It's just you get.
It's
really
funny
like
how
what
stuff
you're
like that
saying.
can get lost. I love that you said that, because something that becomes, I don't want to say tradition, because tradition isn't bad, but something that it's like reoccurring, like this
Right.
day is coming. Some of it can get lost a lot, right? Like you're
Right.
just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And because like with Christmas, a lot of us just say, okay, it's Christmas. It's funny because people have these different traditions, like right after Thanksgiving or the day of Thanksgiving or 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, they start decorating, they start hanging lights, and they're just going through the motions. And it's like, it's on their to-do list, and it's not something that we stop and think about, like, hey, what does this actually mean? And what is it about? Right.
Yeah.
It's what we're going to talk about today, being present, like taking a moment and stopping and saying like, man, there's a lot more to this than just like, oh, hey, he's born in a manger, and because
Yeah.
it just becomes very just, here's what it is, right?
Yeah, and I think that's it. Is like I like listening to Genaro and realizing. I mean, obviously, that like Jesus came into this world very simple, very very modestly, and but for me, and especially in my own journey, I got really, really tied up in the whole understanding the life of Jesus. Those 3 years of his ministry. Like, how do I live that out? And it doesn't take it away. It doesn't take away. It's just something that, right, like literally in this moment, going like, oh yeah, I need to go back to that story and really, really dive into it.
One of the things that that just really like I'm always thinking about is like, how do the Jewish people, and then when I say Jewish people, not the people that live in Israel today, I'm talking about like Old Testament Jewish people, the Israel, like how did they miss the birth of Jesus? And it was because they were so caught up in what they were doing. They were going through their own motions. They were caught up in making sure that they were doing this in the temple, and they had their own set of things that they were going through.
It's the same way we miss them today, right?
Right. Yeah.
Seriously.
It's so it blows me away that it's like, so that the birth of Jesus, it's like when Nicole talks about the census and that being an important part of the Christmas story and all of that stuff, it leads up to showing that Jesus is the Messiah, like that he is the one, but we miss it because we're so busy with all the stuff that we have going on in our own lives. And so it's really, really, really important to make sure that we're slowing down. And I love that you're honest about it, John, because sometimes we, especially when we're we have younger ones now, and we're telling them the Christmas story, and we kind of get hung up on the manger and we stop, and the kids love the animals, so we get stuck at the animal part of it. But there's so much more, and and again, obviously, wherever your kids are in life, if you have younger kids, you're not going to give them some deep teaching about the Christmas story. But if you have older ones, you can stop and take a moment and be present with them.
Yeah.
Josh said something on Sunday. He talked about how like Jesus didn't come as like an adult. Like he could have just come down from heaven on a cloud. I mean, done some kind of miracle, just appeared, right? Or just kind of molded into society, and there he was. But like the reason he came as a baby, so that he could literally, like, we can never say, well, he doesn't know what this is like, or he doesn't know what this is like. Like he literally walked in the human shoes from infancy. And I look at that and I'm thinking, I mean, to me, that just shows so much love for us. And I mean, sometimes just those small things like that, they hit me differently as an adult. As a kid, I'm like, yeah, I came as a baby, of course,
Right.
John, you said in the video, which again, you got to go back and watch on Instagram at VBF Encourage. You said in the video, Jesus was empathy to you. And I think that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah. Like just that he walked, when people say, hey, you've never walked a mile in my shoes, it's like, no, like Jesus, he walked it.
Yeah, and perspective is everything too. Remember what time of the world Jesus was walking in. It was crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like so him coming in at that time, so exposed and vulnerable. And that's
and
stuff.
I feel like it's so hard for us to have perspective when we're so busy. It's so hard, like, you know what I mean? Like when there's so much on our plate, it's so hard to have that healthy perspective because it's just go, 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 go. Yeah. And I mean, what you're saying, I feel like that was our life, like the Christmas shopping, the budgeting, like all this stuff. And so when it came down, And it wasn't, necessarily a church service. It was me explaining the Christmas story to my daughter. That's where, for a second, we got that breather. And it was like, this is the story of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just me and her. And we're, that's when perspective came in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like,
Yeah.
it was like it was like, why haven't I been, I pride myself so much in busyness. I think it's a good thing. Like when someone tells, hey, how you doing? Oh, busy. It's like, that's always my go-to.
It's a badge of honor, isn't it, these days?
It's so
Yeah.
weird. But that's something I feel like I'm still learning, is how to be present, or how to just, I wish you were talking earlier about the buzz on the back, that like to fix your posture. I wish there was like a buzz that's like, hey, you're straying away. Like, let's be present,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, totally. Let's dive into that. Let's talk about today. We want to kind of unpack, and we're going to unpack some other things, but just being present, like what, and not present like a Christmas present, even though we are all great Christmas presents to the people around us. I know I am. I know people are filled with joy when they unwrap. But no, what are some of those things that keep us from not being present? Especially when we talk about Christmas and the holidays and spending that time with your family. I mean, I'll have to be honest, there's been times when I'm hanging out with my kids, there are times when I'm hanging out with my kids and I'm there, but I'm not there, and I hate admitting that on the podcast. But I mean, what are those things that keep us from being there with our friends, our families, and the moments that matter?
Mm-hmm. I always think there's just so much that needs to be done. And I think that's like my knee jerk. Like, we're hosting people, our house has to be clean, and it's just like, and that alone can take up a whole day. And not even that, even just like with ministry, it's like, there's so much that has to be done that in my mind, if I'm thinking about it, I'm doing something productive, and it's not necessarily true. And I feel like it's been kind of stripping away from what God wants me to do, being present. The story that I think of, I think it's in Luke chapter 10, and it's, Jesus enters this village, and, Martha invites him into the house, and she's doing all the prepping and the cleaning and, doing all this stuff. And Mary's just sitting at the feet of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Martha. I feel like there's so much that has to be done. I'm doing things for the Lord. I'm providing for my family. I'm doing all this stuff. But I'm not sitting at the feet of Jesus. And in my mind, all the stuff that I'm doing is good. This is healthy. But I feel like Mary had it right. Like, that's like the best thing that we can possibly do to be present is to sit at the feet of Jesus, to give him our busyness, to give him our worries, to give him the plans, to all the things. And then and only then do we find this comfort and this wisdom that then we can go and actually do the things that he wants us to do. Yeah. And so that's something that I feel like I'm learning now in order for me to be present. But I'm sure tomorrow I'm going to be like, I got to do that, and it's just back on the grind. But
we have a list of stuff already.
We are,
we're in the podcast right now, and I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like, I have a list of stuff that I have to get done today. I love that you said the things that are good, like we think they're good, right? Because we justify not being present with things that we think that are good, right? And some of that stuff, like talking about Christmas, like we're like, oh, this is good. I'm going out and I'm shopping and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm going in debt and you're buying presents and all this stuff happens and you justify it from the perspective of good, like this is good. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, are those things healthy for us, right? Like, are those things actually pouring into us and filling us up? I love that you said that was a great take on just being at the feet of Jesus, because that's where the only good comes from. But it's hard to get there because I feel like we're in a race in the sense of, we have our everyday lives and we have to get things done. And so we can't just put those aside and, just always be at that moment. But I feel like that's where we need to be. How do we get there, Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with my phone. It's like I love having everything at my fingertips, and if it's not with me, I'm nervous. Like I enjoy the connection with people, but I hate the always feeling like I need to pick it up and look at it, and it's like I give my kids tech time limits, and that's just the way. They have an hour in the morning and they have an hour at night. That's what they have. But like I don't do that to myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, it's a different when my kids are in school and I know I have to, work when they're in school, but now that they're off and it's Christmas break, I have felt that conviction of truly being present and just being able to put it aside and say, okay, you know what? All that's going to be there.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to, burn down while I'm, hopefully not while
Hopefully
I'm
not.
spending
Yeah.
time playing Mario Kart or baking Christmas cookies. And as somebody said something similar, and I copied and posted on social media, but like in 20 years from now, what would you wish you would have done right now? And I thought, man, I have 20 years, I'm going to be like, man, go play Mario Kart,
Yeah.
go play chess with the boys, like go do all that stuff. The dishes will still be there. The laundry, it's not going to go anywhere. It will all still be there. They have enough underwear to last them for a couple more days till after Christmas, just go and be present. And that's what I keep thinking. I almost try and think of my future self to make my present self go do what it's supposed to do. And that's probably like, I should still be living straight in the present, but really trying to make sure that I am doing what I would hope that I would do in that moment.
Yeah.
Do you think we're addicted to distraction though?
Yes.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
100%.
Like we like to check out. And even though we might not say it out loud, like, oh, I love distractions, In fact, we'd probably say we hate distractions. But I think there is something to be said about how addicted we are, as Nicole said, to our phone, or how addicted we are to work, or how addicted we are to binge watching television. Like Netflix isn't Netflix and blowing up in a $1 billion company because no one is, not watching. I mean, people are logging insane amount of hours of television. This isn't me saying, I'm in the same boat. So when I say,
Right.
and I'm saying us, but I do think that it's easier to check out and say, I don't want to have to deal with whatever it is that I have to deal with, whether it's, maybe that you're going to be with your family on Christmas, Mr. Ranger, or you're going to be with, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden you just feel like it's easier to check out, get on my phone, check my emails, pretend that I'm busy, binge watch Netflix, just so that you don't have to address the present.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to be, and then also come to a truth of like what is actually happening in your life. Like you said, I love Nicole. I think we talked about this in the podcast last week, but confronting your truth, right? Like confronting like what's going on in your life. And I feel like you can't do that if you're not present. And if you're not present, then you are filling your whole life with a bunch of distractions.
I love that. Well, because that's, again, going back to sitting at the feet of Jesus, that's when you hash stuff out. That's when it's like, things are hot. Like you're doing it. It's crazy because I feel like I'm always filling the time in. Like we just had a weekend that was free, and it was like, all right, like what could we do? What could we add to it? And it's this, but I do agree because I feel like I'm on the same boat of it somehow gives me comfort. Like I don't have to deal with the present stuff, like the present issues, the, grief around the holidays. Like I don't have to worry. Like if I keep myself busy, then it makes me feel like I'm being productive, but I'm also sweeping some stuff under the rug.
But sorry, I think we're talking about something even bigger, which is not addiction to technology. That's the definition of like what addiction is.
Right.
It's escape. And I think there's certain addictions that are easier to excuse. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see somebody who's hooked on meth, you're like, oh, look at them. But then like, you see somebody who can't put their phone down and you're just like, oh, they're busy. Like, no, they're addicted. They can't disconnect.
Right.
And I think that it's understanding that, this is a part of who we are. We, you have to accept it to some degree, but
man, I don't want to accept. Yeah. I part of me wants to fight it. I don't want to accept it. I keep saying, and again, I think wherever you were, whatever time period you were born into, obviously I was born into a time period where there was no phone, no technology. So for me to say, I wish we could just get rid of them all, I'd be on board with if everyone just gave away their cell phones today. I'm on board with it. I could live without it today. I have one and I use it grossly because everybody else has it. And so I justify and I use it as my excuse, And then again, there are times, and I don't mean to, but I do it's like I find myself lost in, they say, in the scroll of Instagram or reading. And mine isn't just social media. Mine is like, I read so many articles. I don't pick up books anymore. I need to like start going back to the library, or if do those exist still? Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I know my kids go. Barnes and Noble is a good time. But going back and reading something I can put in my hand and take notes on, I love it. But sometimes I'm just reading articles about, how do I get better at this thing, or how do I do that? And, so I find myself just addicted to learning things. And then all of a sudden I'm like, where did all that time go? It's funny because I was on the treadmill the other day. And I'm like, I'm going to spend 15 minutes on that treadmill. And 15 minutes running on a treadmill feels like forever. But 15 minutes on your phone is nothing. Yeah. So I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, this doesn't, because so I think that, again, going back, I think we like you said, I think we like being addicts a little bit because there is some escapism in that, and it brings some. There's a chemical thing that happens to addicts when they're doing it. I think they release endorphins, and those endorphins give us a high. So I think we're constantly looking for that high on our phone. And maybe for some of us, we don't get that same high with the people that we surround ourselves with, or we don't get that same high from being at the feet of Jesus, or we don't get that same high from our family. And we have to reprogram ourselves to get that same high, because if the only thing that brings us joy is that hit from the cell phone or that hit from the pipe, as John said, or whatever it may be, then we are not happy people.
Yeah.
I think, sorry, go ahead.
It's still there, though. That's the thing. Like you talk about how we kind of ignore or we're escaping things. Like I remember COVID, and I always hate when people bring it up anymore because it feels like we should just forget that ever happened. But like all this stuff came out of me that was like, whoa, where did that come from? But the truth, after looking back, I'm like, man, all that was sediment. It was all at the bottom of me that I didn't want to deal with. And then when I was shaken, that's what came out. That was in me all along. I just didn't want to deal with it. Yeah. And I think that's the thing with life. It's like we get shaken and these things come out and be like, oh, that wasn't me. Oh, it really was you. You just never wanted to deal with that. You were escaping. You were trying to be so busy that you never dealt with it. And then you just pretended. All you did was pretend like it wasn't there, but it was still very much there. It's all that sediment that's at the bottom of our lives that God's like, that's where he wants to be, right? That's what he wants to deal with. And we're like, now we're good. I'm good with that right there.
Yeah.
That's so true. There's a quote that I read that said, busyness reveals what we value. And a good question to ask yourself is, what do you value? And I think that will help us in kind of getting that perspective and trying to be present. Like, what are you valuing right now in the season that you are in?
But I think too, it's, I struggle a lot with mental health issues. And so I've got a couple diagnoses, but, I think that it's understanding that so I'll watch a video of a perspective of somebody who's giving you advice on how to get over something, right? And they're not taking into account that not everybody's brain functions that way, right? That, for instance, if you for somebody like me who starts to believe a lie in myself, it almost takes root. The only way to explain it is it almost takes root faster and deeper, right? So once that takes hold, it takes me a long time to extract that behavior or way of thinking or whatever. And so, but the whole thing of fake it till you make it is so true. It really is true. And it's not just be artificial to somebody, but if you're trying to really break something inside of you, you have to persevere. So for me, even every day, I legitimately these days try to count my blessings. And I don't mean that even if I have those days where I'm I can't even think of a blessing right now, I still will go wait, no. And for me, it always boils down to my family, to my 3 girls. I do everything in life for them, and but I knew that I couldn't continue to be the way that I was but it couldn't be just a matter of like, oh, just look yourself in the mirror and say it's going to be okay. Say you're a tough guy, you know, or whatever it is. That didn't work for me.
Right.
I knew that it literally was going to take like every day forcing myself to say things I don't believe about myself. But eventually I started to believe them and things really got better.
Yeah.
And my perspective genuinely changed, you know? So anyways.
I heard a pastor say, he was talking about that phrase, fake it till you make it. And he kind of shifted it and just said, being obedient even when you don't want to.
Right.
And there's a blessing in that, you know, because like I like how you're just like, it started happening. Like,
Right.
you were just doing the things, and it just over time you're like, oh, like.
Well, I think it's intention too. Like it's you're not faking it. You're not just being like, oh, I'm happy. You know, that's, don't be that.
Yeah.
It's about what you're telling yourself in your head, you know, and having the attention of like, no, I'm gonna freaking save myself. Like this is like, I'm not gonna allow myself to continue to be this person, you know? So
They say it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something, you know, to change like your process and your behavior. They call it mastery, right? Over whatever you're doing. And I always think when you said fake it till you make it, it started like making me think about that, because you're not really good at something until everybody's a fake until you've put a lot of time into it. And I say that I'm not saying like, you know, you have to put all this time into Jesus in order to be good at it, because that's the one thing that I believe, like you give your life to God and you're radically transformed instantly. But I'm just saying in just all walks of life. And I do think like the more time that we spend with God, again, I'm not putting a number on it. I think some, you know, you have Saul converted to Paul, there's instant transformation. But I think the more that you put, like you may not understand all the things of Jesus, but the more time that you put into it, the more that you are going to just be near to him. And I think that your relationship with him is going to become more authentic. Even though you might think like, I'm at a place where like God doesn't love me or I don't have this real relationship. Like John said, start putting that time into it. Start small. I'm not saying start, you know, this big thing, but start just picking up your Bible and reading a scripture every day and watch that snowball, because I do think there is something to be said, like you said, Genaro, about being obedient and just doing a small thing, and that small thing turns into a big thing. And that goes into what we're talking about with being present. Like maybe it starts with you, and I've tried to do this more often. Like if you're addicted to your phone or you're not present with your family, one of the things I hate seeing is when people are out to dinner and the whole family's on their phone and nobody's talking to each other. It blows my mind. I'm like, it's just, I want to just start slapping phones out of people.
yeah, dude, I was going to say that earlier. I was at a really nice restaurant in Santa Barbara, right? Low lit restaurant. And I look around and everybody's faces are
glowing,
lit up blue.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to write an article called "Bowing Our Heads for All the Wrong Reasons."
Right.
Because it looked like they were all praying, but they were all just looking at their phones.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was funny.
But it's crazy because if we started small, we knew, like you said, I think you said, Genaro, value what we value. If you value that time with your wife and your family and your friends, you're going to put this away, and whoever's calling, whatever video that's hilarious that you can't wait to watch, it can wait. And you can be in those moments, but we have to practice that. It doesn't just start overnight. You have to start reprogramming your mind, right? Romans 12:1-2. If you pick up a Bible and you read it today, it says, don't be conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we have to retrain, renew our mind, and think in a different way. And I love what you said, John. It's not a one size fit all situation. Like for some of you guys, it's going to be different. Your journey is going to be different. But you have to start somewhere. Yeah. You have to retrain your programming.
Well, and I think in order to be present, you can't hate yourself. If you hate yourself, you're consumed with self. You can't give to others if you hate yourself. And I've been there. Like my daughter literally took a picture of me one time, and I keep that picture all the time because I'm sitting at breakfast with my entire family, and my daughter was just taking a random picture, and you can see me looking at my family, but I'm clearly looking through them. And like I always look at that picture, and it almost makes me cry every time because of the fact that I'm like, that's how much I hated myself. Was that There's no way I could be in the moment with my kids, with anybody I loved, because I hated myself more than they could ever love me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So,
Yeah. How do you pick up those pieces though, John? Like how, like if you're, because I think a lot of people do check out on that note themselves. You know, like they're going through the holidays and they hate themselves and they feel stuck, and so they are completely checked out.
well, and once again, for me, it's been a very long, slow process. I was the guy who like prayed for, miracle after miracle, and then no miracle comes.
Right.
And realizing like, no, God made me I got to do the work. I got to legitimately change the way I do life with the people around me, with myself. Like, but the only way to do that is to change the way I talk to myself. And I because I hated myself so much, I assumed everybody must secretly hate me that much. I couldn't accept the fact that somebody loved me. If they loved me, they loved me out of pity or because Jesus told them to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not because they genuinely loved me. So for me, it was changing the way that I saw myself, and also understanding that, like, I believe that Jesus is the true north of everything that I do in my life. And if I can look in the scripture and see like, oh yeah, this is why, if anybody's heard me talk, they've heard me talk about the woman at the well, because you want to talk about a moment of being completely present, not worrying about anything around you. That's what Jesus was doing with her, with the Samaritan woman, and so, but the way he was so kind to her when, Samaritans worshiped multiple gods, they didn't just worship one singular pagan god, they worshiped multiple gods.
Right.
And he approached her with such love, such compassion. And for me, it was just like, oh man, like that woman must felt so hated. And in that moment, Jesus showed her so much love, so much compassion that to me, it was like, I got to learn how to do that to myself so I can be really good, And now it's become a discipline in my life where like when I see myself getting off course, I just like, hey, dude, it's not that bad. It's okay. And also you're living for those 3 girls. That's it. That's your only mission right now.
Right.
is
Your family.
let them grow up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
I think words are so important. I mean, we think, the scriptures talk so much about controlling the tongue and taming the tongue and the tongue being a sword. But like, and we think about that, about how we speak about other people, but we don't always think about that about how we speak about ourselves. And that's so powerful, John, because what you say about yourself matters. Because God's looking at, whenever I say something bad about the way I'm looking at something, John will look at me and be like, stop talking about my wife that way. And I'm like, but awesome. It's me. It's me, and it's like, but I think God looks at us and he's like, stop talking about my kid like that. Like, I love you. I came to this earth as a baby because I love you that much. So stop talking about yourself that way, and it's hard. It's a lot of hours.
I love that you brought that up because we tell ourselves a narrative about ourselves that is sometimes good, but sometimes we add a lot to it that nobody else is thinking. We think that other people are thinking that, but it's not. And you take Jesus, what do they say? Who is that? Isn't that Jesus of Nazareth? Nothing good comes from Nazareth. Right. How could he be? Right? And he didn't live to that narrative, right? He could have been like, well, this is probably, I guess I'm not, this is what people are saying about me, You go back to what we talked about earlier. Who do people say that I am? They gave a list, some say you're John the Baptist, some say you're like, he had a whole, but he knew who he was. And I think we have to know who we are in Christ, And I think that's big, and we can't bow down to a narrative. I know I get caught in letting, one of the things Josh laughs about with me a lot, because he's like, you don't let people label you. Like, he's like, people want to call you pastor, let them call you pastor. I'm like, I don't like to let anybody put me in any box because I want to know, like, I know who God has called me to be. Right. And if somebody tries to put me in a box, I feel like it becomes damaging in some ways to me. I'm not saying that we don't have roles that we are in or whatever. So roles, we all carry roles. But when I start putting myself in a box and I'm like, this is who I am. This is, I'm like, no. Like, and I also think that we're constantly changing and constantly moving. And so it's like, well, people say, well, that's Vince the goof offer. That's Vince that. that might have been me at one point in my life, but that's not who I am today. So I'm not going to let you label me as that when I'm actually this today.
And that's what I was going to say is, but I don't want to use that either as an excuse for
Say it, John.
when you're hurting people, when you hurt people, you have to take responsibility for the hurt that you've done.
100%.
Even if, and this is something that I've had to learn. There's people in my life that I've reached out to, even when I was walking through my stuff, that I hurt like badly, and I've tried to reach out to them, and they don't respond to me, and that was something that I had to then deal with. Was how do I forgive myself when I can't even talk to them to like say I'm sorry? Like it's not about like mending a friendship or anything like that, but just for me to genuinely go to somebody and be like, hey, I'm sorry. So anyways, with that being said, all I'm saying is, but you have to realize that when you are honest with yourself, you have to say like, I did do this and I did do this, and that's okay. I and if I can make it right, I will. But if I can't, I got to move on, because if not, I'm just going to go back into this pattern, so.
Well, if you don't value yourself too, like if you don't believe, that you have something to offer, then of course you're going to constantly check out and not be present.
Right.
You're going to sit in your phone because you're like, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody cares about what I'm doing. Right. And that's important. If you're a parent and you're listening today and you are letting your kids check out at the dinner table and they're on their phones, or you're letting your kids check out all the time and you're not having conversation, they probably don't have a lot of value. Like they probably think like you don't care what they have to say. And I'm not saying that's true across the board. I'm not, again, I'm coming down on myself a little bit. So I don't want to like make anyone feel convicted, but if you're not, like saying, hey guys, let's talk, it's like your kids probably think that you don't care what they have to say. And so then they're writing a narrative about themselves. Like, oh man, like my parents like don't really care. And so I'll just do this instead. And that's creating bad habits, it's creating behavior that's not good. And for their development, one of the things that we talk about a lot about youth and specifically is just like behavioral development and how the cell phone and technology is changing that right now. And so it's really, really important that we strip away that technology, or we take moments where we strip away technology. Because at the end of the day, like you said, John, it's part of our life. We're not gonna get rid of technology, I don't think, at this point. Although I do hope that and some miracle happens and we do. But, all the satellites fall out of the sky. That would be amazing. I hope it would be amazing. I don't know. That could cause mass chaos. But anyways, my point being is that that we when's the last time that that you've just put your cell phones down and you went around and just told your kids or your spouse how much you love them and how much they mean to you. Genaro, you sent a text out on my, I don't know it wasn't on my birthday. It was like 2 weeks before my birthday. So you did send a nice text on my birthday too. So thank you for that. But you sent a text out, you used technology, so it was through the phone, about how much you appreciated my wife and I. And like, it was short, but it was like, boom, like, I appreciate you guys. And you gave a couple reasons why. And that stuff means a lot, And so when we're able to, take a moment and appreciate the people around us, I think it does bring or cultivate or start to cultivate an area where people can put their phones down because it has value. When you put your phone down, you can say, okay, now this is going to be a moment that's really, really special because we've all put our phone down, right?
Right.
Because it means something. When we put our phones down, it means like, hey, we're going to have good family time and we're going to actually have more fun. But again, that comes back to like, hey guys, we're going away into the mountains for a weekend and we're all leaving our phones at home.
Yeah.
And then watching what happens out of that.
I think that goes back to my favorite Christmas gifts. My favorite Christmas gifts are from my kids, are when they write me letters on what they really think about me. Like out of everything, like the cups or the random blankets that they throw in. I mean, that's great. I'll use it. But that card, it goes in my memory box. And those are my treasures, are the words that people speak over you.
And kids are deadly honest. We were at a +1 and Genaro, and we were giving away gift cards at Walmart. And so we had blessed this family. And one of the guys that was with us, he gave the family gift card and he said, can I pray with you? And she said, yeah, I can, So he takes off his hat and the kid in the group goes, are you bald? And he's like,
It was the best thing ever.
he's like, yes, I'm bald. Let me pray for you.
Oh man.
So kids will, man, if you want some real perspective in your life, ask a kid, how they feel about you, and
Yep,
they'll give you
isn't
some
that the truth?
perspective.
Yeah.
100%. I think just ending this and saying this too, I think if you're looking, one of the words that we use during the holiday seasons is joy, joy to the world, joy, Merry Christmas. I hope you feel good. I think feeling good again goes back to what you said, John. What is the narrative? Jesus writes this beautiful narrative about us, and who we are. And if you're not a believer, one of the things I would challenge you to do is go and really look out Jesus for yourself, because maybe you've believed something about yourself that isn't true, and it's hard to find joy in that.
I think John literally just what he said was a whole sermon within itself.
Sorry.
But it
That's
was,
why
Sorry, why are you saying
that's why I
sorry?
apologize
No,
after
but
the
it's
end of it. I
just-
was like, oh man, that was
but
long.
you were talking. You got to be honest.
Yeah.
You have to be honest.
Yeah.
And then I love what you said is owning up to the things that you did wrong.
Yeah.
Or confessing your sin.
Yeah.
And then you say you hold on to that Bible story.
Yeah.
And it's like these promises that God has in the word, we hold on to those things. And that's what helps, and it draws you closer.
For sure.
Don't we paint confession as a bad thing? It's
Yeah.
funny because
Yeah.
we're like, oh, we got to confess, but confession frees you,
Oh yeah.
right? Like when you're
Absolutely.
able to come in and say like, okay, you're actually realizing you're truthful with yourself. You're like, I messed up. In that confession, we think it's about like, oh, if we don't confess, like God's going to smite us. But the confession's more for us, like being able to free ourselves of what is happening in our lives and saying, okay, God, I give this back to you, and that He takes it and forgives it.
Yeah.
Well, and just think about this. You walk into a room, you've got an unspoken with them, you've got an unspoken with them, an unspoken with them, an unspoken with them. How are you ever going to be present with any person in the room
Yeah.
because you have all these unspokens against them?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that has to do with trust, I think,
Right.
a little bit. I
Yeah.
think a lot of the reasons why we don't allow ourselves to be present is because we don't trust the people around
Right.
us. We've been taught, especially in society today, like we have a hard problem. We don't trust our government. We don't trust the news. We don't trust, and so that trickles down. We start like saying like, who else is lying to us,
Right.
and what else is lying to us.
Right.
And that's what Satan wants us to believe. At the end of the day, like obviously we believe in heaven and hell. We believe in God. And we believe that there's also, the Bible tells us very clearly that Satan is real, and that he's constantly trying to steal that joy and that, and I think he's constantly lying to us. And I think if we feel like we're constantly being lied to, then nothing can be real.
Right.
And so it takes us out of reality, right? If nothing's real, if everything's a lie, then you cannot be present.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that whole thing, what you're saying about confession, it's just so true. It's so important, and it doesn't actually have to be that hard. We make it harder than it is. It's easy. Hey, did I do you wrong? If I did, I'm sorry.
Why is it so
I
hard
really mean it.
to tell your wife sorry?
Oh,
Why is that the hardest one? Nicole's like,
I don't want to talk about that right now. I got a woman next to me right now. I don't want to get hit. I'm just kidding.
No, but think about what David said. David said, search my heart, oh God. And I think that when it goes back to confession, like sometimes I don't even know what I need to confess. Like it's like goes back to
That's
that
real.
sediment idea. Like I've just buried it and I don't even know. I'm just feeling a way, and I am content feeling that way, even though I shouldn't be feeling that way. And I don't want to do the deep digging, but like David says, search my heart, oh God. And I believe that's why he was called a man after God's own heart, because he sat down with God, kind of like what you're talking about, was sitting at the feet of Jesus. And he's just like, all right, like I'm all exposed. Just start pointing me in directions.
Right.
And let's just talk this through. And I know that I'm not going to like this conversation,
Right.
but I know that I'm going to find freedom on the other side of it. You know?
Absolutely.
I love that. Oh, search my heart, oh God, because there is something freeing about that.
It is, yeah.
And if you can come to that place where you can let God search your heart and you're willing to be vulnerable and be present, change will happen.
Yep.
God, speak to me through this very next Instagram post that
I've tried.
I scroll up.
I've tried.
I'm trusting you, God, right now.
There's been moments, but you know what? I really feel like when you're seeking God out and you're like, and that's what you have, whatever tool that you have available, God will come through for it. And so I believe that. Well, guys, Merry Christmas out there. We love you. We will not be back until January 6th, which is the Tuesday. And so we hope that you guys have an amazing holiday. drink some hot cocoa, put your phones away, throw them in the ice, throw them in the snow, throw them in the river, wherever you're located. Get rid of them for a couple days and be present with your family. And so we're praying for you guys. Be safe out there, travel safe, and we'll catch you in the new year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, the kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.